Good afternoon, everybody. Let me see, check out my screen here. How are we doing today? Hopefully you guys are having a good afternoon. I'm going to get this shared quickly into our rock painting tutorial group. If you haven't joined that before yet, it's called Rock Painting Tutorials on Facebook. And if you do tutorials or anything like that, you are more than welcome to join the group and share your tutorials as well. Today we're going to do this nice little winter scene, and I'm using my favorite paint pens here, guys. You can always do these with regular acrylic paints as well. I'm a huge fan of the pens for many reasons. I don't waste a lot of paint. I'm a mom, and a lot of times my painting time gets interrupted with a task or somebody needs something. So I'm going to start by just putting down one layer here at the bottom. That's going to be our snow at the bottom. Now, the reason I'm doing this on a black rock is because I coated a whole bunch of rocks black. This would probably be easier to do on a white base coated rock. But if you have a darker rock, I suggest you're going to want probably two kind of coats of the white at the bottom. So we're just going to go ahead and do one now so that can kind of start to dry. And that's another reason why I like doing these kind of things with the pens, because the layers dry really fast for you. So there we go. We got a little bit of snow there to get us started. Now we're going to go ahead and make our kind of night, not necessarily dark night, but nice wintry sky. So we're going to take, I've got the dark blue. We're going to do a good amount of that on here. Just kind of go back and forth quite a bit. You want it to be a little bit wet. Okay. And then we're going to use our lighter blue up right in a snug here along the snow line. And then a little bit in the sky. My camera's overhead, so I don't necessarily always see your comments live, but I always go back and check them if I happen to catch it go by. Do you all have any snow where you're at yet? We haven't had a first snowfall here. I'm over on the East Coast. We're going to do a little bit of black. Oh, that's not my big black. A little bit of black all the way up here so we can pull it down into our blues. Now, the best way that I like to blend with these pens is I take a paper towel, and it's just damp, not super wet, just damp. And it's actually a little bit dry because I was setting things up. And I have one of these pipettes because I use it to water my succulents over here on my desk. But just a little bit of water, just enough that you're wetting the bristles of your brush, not a lot. See, it's barely any water there. And then I always start with my lightest colors and just start blending them kind of back and forth a little bit. And it will kind of get that acrylic feel to you. And I'm not going to go all the way to the white because I'm actually going to snug the white up to it here when I do my next layer. And you barely want to touch. You don't want to wipe off your paint. Now you can do this in a few layers and go back over it a couple times with more from your paint pens as well. Grab a little bit more water here. And I want this to go off the edge. I'm working with this smaller rock. If you guys caught the tutorial, or not the tutorial, but the live that I did yesterday, my landscaping place I go get rocks, she had a smaller bin. I got myself some smaller rocks. I figured they'd be nice to do when I'm doing these lives to keep them from being too big of projects. There we go. So we got that first layer kind of done. And I think I want my blue to go a little bit further up, so I'll show you here also another trick. When you're using your paint pens, like I'm going to go over here and there might be a little bit of wet black there. All you do is you kind of give it a quick little twist on your damp paper towel that you have, and you'll get any excess paint right back off of that pen. I'm going to add a little bit more light blue in here too. And I'm not even going to get my brush wet again. I'm just going to kind of gently back and forth with that. You want snow in Iowa, Christine says. Yes, I grew up in Nebraska, so by now I'm sure they've had, have you had any yet? No snow in New Hampshire yet either. Oh my goodness. See, I think everybody's kind of had a heat wave. It was really warm here yesterday. It's a little gloomy today, so it kind of had me in the mood to do something a little winter. Okay, so I'm happy with that coloring there. I'm going to go in here now with my white and kind of give it one more little coat of paint here. And then I'm going to crisp up this line a little bit. And I don't mind if I get a little bit of blue on here, because I can use that trick that I showed you to get it back off again. We're going to give it a little bit of a shape, a little bit of a hill here and there. Okay. And you can always come back in with white again when you're done and touch it up. So if you I always just kind of go like this. Sorry, I bumped my camera there, guys. Just go like this, just to make sure you don't have any color left on your tip. All right, let's add in some trees. Now for the trees, I'm going to just go ahead and use my black. Scotland has snow. All right, Judith, you're the first one to have snow to report here today. Okay, let's see here. Now, as you can see, it dries really, really fast. I got a little bit of paint there, but not enough that we can't go in here and start working. So I'm going to start by doing a few of these more stick style trees that have lost all of their leaves. And you're just going to start at the base and always work up to your branch, because when you let go, the tip will kind of leave a point. You can kind of add your branches any which way you want, as many branches as you want. And I don't know how many of you all grew up watching Bob Ross by any chance. I know that I've mentioned him before in my paintings, but he always says that your trees need to have a friend. So we're going to add a second little tree in here. And you don't have to worry about crossing over the branches, because when we add our little snow to it, we'll be able to tell which one's in front and which one's on back. Okay, just like so. And I got a little bit of white on there, so same thing. I'm just going to dab it off to make sure I don't have white on the tip. Okay, and then for our pine style trees, I might not be able to fit two on this little rock. Just decide where you want the top of your tree to be and give yourself a little guideline. And you're just going to kind of, you don't want to actually do lines. You kind of want to keep your tip kind of wiggling and kind of work your way from left to right to make kind of almost like a zigzag. And we'll go back in and we'll fill it in later. But you just don't want to, trees never have straight lines. So you kind of almost want a really rough little touch with it and just kind of zigzag back and forth till you get down to the white, and see that white's still a little bit wet. So we're going to wipe off that tip. We'll work on that later. And then kind of go back in here and just kind of zigzag again to kind of fill it in. And the reason we're doing this in black first is you want to have that black underneath, because it will give you a little bit of depth to your tree when you go back and add on the white. My lighting's not the greatest today because it's kind of gloomy here, but I think you can kind of see that pretty well. Yes, Christine, I don't like to spend hours on rocks either. I just saw your comment. She said that she likes doing these kind of rocks because they're faster. And you know what? They are. I mean, you can take more time. If you're doing this with acrylic, you'll have to take more time because you have to wait for things to dry. And I am going to wait just a little bit until this black kind of dries a little before I add my snow, so I can kind of read over these comments. Kim asked where I get my rocks. I actually shared a live video yesterday when I was out rock shopping. I go to landscaping companies. They're usually out on the highways, some places where you can usually buy rock, like the lava rocks and the river rock and things like that, and mulch. They have those big, huge bays full of mulch. Well, you can go to most of those places. The smallest amount of rocks you can buy at the one I go to is a 5-gallon bucket. However, that 5-gallon bucket only costs $10. And it will last you a long time, and that's where I got all of my rocks. See, I have a few over here. They have them all the way from this size and this size for the same price as these little ones, and I even found ones that were about this size there. So it's fun, and you get to go out and you get to pick your rocks yourself. You can find nice, I like ones that are kind of more flat like this than big round rocks. I feel like they're easier to do pictures on. So we're pretty dry here, a little wet in a few spots. I'm kind of just going to almost dab it like this just because I'm impatient. Just get a little bit of that extra off. And we're going to go in with our white. And we're going to start with our stick tree. Now, you have to decide which branches are going to be in the front and which ones are going to be on the back. So when you go on here and do your snow as well, you don't want to stripe every branch. As you can see here, it kind of picks up. So what all you do to get that effect is to start the tip, and you're going to just go so loosely that you're almost to kind of let it kind of like bounce along the edge of the tree branch, just like so. I'm not pressing and painting. I'm almost letting it kind of bounce. And you want it to be on wherever the top of your branch would be, right? You don't want it on the bottom of your branch, and try to leave a little bit of that black showing through, because that's what gives shape to your tree and depth to your tree. And you can do a little bit down here, you know, down on the ground there where your tree trunk is. And then we'll go in and do this other one here. Just a little bit there. And see, this one's pretty up and down, so it wouldn't really stick on that very much, would it? Maybe a little bit on the top there. Okay, we'll give our trunk a little shape. So as you can see there, oh man, my lighting is really poor today. I'm sorry guys, I'll have to pay better attention before I get started. Okay, and now for this big tree, we're going to do the same thing. You don't want crisp lines, well, at least not for the effect I'm trying to get. You don't necessarily want crisp lines. Oops, see, I got a little bit of black there on my pen. So if you see that, how you take a damp paper towel and just kind of roll it gently. You don't want to scratch it back and forth, but it comes right off, and see how no more black is showing up. Now for this, we're going to do the same thing when we did our bottom branches. I'm going to try not to leave a straight line. So I'm almost going to kind of jiggle my pen, and we're just going to do the outer edges of the branches on one side here. And you just kind of, because that's the way the snow kind of lands out on those outer branches, right? And the branches come around the front, so then we'll kind of go back and just trying to really barely let the tip kind of touch, and you just kind of jiggle back and forth. And it might take a little bit of practice, you know, or you could watch Bob Ross on Netflix like I do, because he's so inspiring to me still. But he always makes those big giant pine trees. Okay. So there you go. See, got that nice little pine tree that's covered with snow, and we got our nice little, you know, this could have been maple trees, you know, that lost all our leaves. And then to add in, if you want, you can add in snow. I added a little bit of falling snow on this one, and because I'm really wishing for snow, I kind of want to maybe add some snow here too on this one. And I'm just dabbing with the very, very tippy tip of the pen. Not hard, it comes right off. I like to keep my tip nice and pointy, so I don't know if over time, if you push really hard, if it will. And it could be falling in front of the tree too. There we go. And I think that's good. Somebody asked, what do I use to seal my rocks with? Well, first I wait for them to be completely dry before I seal them. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I usually have so many rocks going on that I wait until I have a handful to seal before I seal them, but I'll show you which sealer I use. Oh no, it's open. I've used lots of different brands, but I almost always use like a clear coat, something that is indoor outdoor, you know, and this one doesn't say non-yellowing. I try to find one usually that says non-yellowing. The one that I have out in the garage, this is the one that a friend gave to me. But I always spray my rocks with a very light coat of spray once or twice before I give them a really good dousing, I guess you could say. And they get a really pretty shine to them. I'll show you one that's done. This is one that I painted. I don't think I did this one live, but I did one live. But it gives it a nice shine to it. But I mean, it seals them really good. They don't run or anything. So thank you everybody that joined me live today. I hope you give this one a try. As always, if you try out this rock, leave me a picture in the comments. I love, love, love to see them in the comments when you guys give them a try. And also, if you don't have these pens yet and you want to get them, I'd really appreciate it if you use my link that I left on the post, because then I get a little bit of commission from Amazon. Not a lot, but enough for me to feed my paint pen addiction. So thank you everybody. I hope some of you get snow that want snow. We're hoping to get a little bit here sometime soon. We'll see you soon.